I mean, I kind of put that aside, and when I do read, it's like I said, it's about backstories, research, and information, not so much how somebody graded it. And I know what you mean about there are some reviewers that um, I don't respect
Right.
their verdicts, but maybe I'll read the review for like just what I said,
Information purposes,
yeah.
yeah. Well, there's a similarity and a wild difference between Luis Miguel and Billie Eilish, who's going to play at Silverstein Ice Center's Arena, show that was moved from the Midland because she's selling too many tickets now. But, for instance, until I spoke with you, and we've talked about this young lady several times on our podcast, Billie Eilish, I didn't know who Luis Miguel is. I wouldn't have known who Billie Eilish is, and each of them is huge in their own area.
Right, and her hype is not just about her music; it's about her lyrics, but it's also about how she's playing the recording industry right now, which is on her own terms, and no one's telling her what to do. No one's telling her who should be her producer, or who she should collaborate with. She has all the leverage, and she's 17. She just turned 17 in December. Her music, if you listen to it, it's not revolutionary. It's not like you listen to it and go, wow, no one's ever done this before. Where did this come from? She's taken familiar sounds and familiar trends and given them her own significant twists so that it sounds not completely unique, but it sounds different enough. It sounds fresh. And her lyrics are,
Teenage angst.
Yeah, but it's like they're mature. It's like
right.
Someone who's there. A lot of them are pretty dark. She's really like scouring her psyche and writing about, taking too much Adderall or drugs, or it's all about self-esteem, and it's about she wrote a song that's called "I Wish You Were Gay," and the thrust of it is having a crush on someone that's unrequited, and you hope the reason is that they like the other gender,
right?
So it's stuff like that, and there's a little bit of hip hop in her. She dresses in these big baggy clothes, so she's asexual, but she's also, she deals with like gender issues and transgender and non-binary, all that stuff,
right.
and it's either implicit or explicit, and so she's provocative, and I think in her band, her brother, who does all her production, helps her write songs, plays keyboards and does synth stuff, and there's a drummer and maybe a guitar player, but I don't know. And the shows are pretty austere. I hear there's not a whole lot going on.
Right.
It's just her, but man, she has 6,000-7,000 people in her thrall for 90 minutes. So it was really interesting because when her first record didn't come out till April, first full length, but she had put out a series of singles that just went nuts on SoundCloud, and so she had tons of momentum, and she's got like millions of Instagram viewers, so she's
right.
and like all over the world. Because I was looking up reviews of her shows, and it's everywhere. Like she's been to New Zealand and Australia, and she's been to Norway, and so she's pretty much worldwide. And it's really weird that this is only her second show here. The first one was at the Record Bar like a year ago, and it was sold out, but that was like 380 people, and now there's going to be at least 5,000.
Yep, that's Friday. Of course, it's sold out, so informing you
well,
of that.
If you want to throw down $300 for a ticket, you can probably find one.
Probably. No show is ever sold out these days, per se, because there is always a price that to be made. The Folly Theater has an interesting thing you're recommending this weekend, and sort of brings us full circle a little bit. Tribute to Queen by the Heartland Men's Chorus, and this is going to be, they're a very talented group, and I've talked to them and about them before, but right now that's going to be kind of a high bar a little bit, because there's so much hype right now about Queen. You just had the film, so that obviously helps out as far as popularity, selling tickets and so on and so forth. This Saturday and Sunday, 8 o'clock Saturday and a 4 p.m. show on Sunday. So some real good ability to fit into your schedule. But still, I would consider this quite a challenge.
I can see it happening, though, for sure, because that music is so theatrical,
right?
And I mean, I'm not sure I can make it to either show. If I do, it'll be Sunday's show. But I'd be interested to see what they do with those,
right?
Whether it's straight or whether they really completely rearrange them. And I wonder, to go back to your point, whether this had been hatched before the movie or because of the movie. I think either way, it's fine. I think there will be interest in it,
right?
Because there was really nobody like them. There are a few bands out there, it's them, and no one has tried to do what they did because.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a diverse group. I mean, the guitarist is a knight. Now he's Sir,
and a scientist, like a bona fide PhD,
right. And they're sort of, it's like the other guys are kind of normal, and then there was Freddie Mercury. So I mean, it was just an interesting dynamic going on. And then they allowed the band to be called Queen. They're all straight. I mean, so there's a lot going on there.
Right. The creative and intellectual energy in that band is like through the roof. I mean, I can't think of many other bands who are like Queen. It's and it's really a shame. He's another one you would wonder about. What would he be doing now? What would he have done between his death and now? But yeah, it's about as unique as it gets. He's just one of those personalities and performers that nobody's been like him, was like him, and will be like him.
And Brian May is he was a flamboyant personality on stage and big hair and all that stuff, and he's about as regular British old guy as you'll ever listen to when he's interviewed.
He's very modest, but I know someone who I forget what his degree is in. If it's like astrophysics or something, like he's a bona fide scientist, and I know a guy who does production for shows and did the Queen show here, and said that he's kind of a science nut. He watches a lot of science documentaries. So he started talking to him, and he said within like 5 or 10 minutes, he was like, I don't know what he was talking about, because he was going into areas that were well beyond what my friend knew. But yeah, what an interesting guy. And is an underrated guitarist. Is one of the best rock guitarists ever.
Yeah, very, very good. And just because the name is so fun, how about the Kaufman Center show on the 11th with Snarky Puppy? And I love being introduced to acts like this by you. I don't know anything about Snarky Puppy either, and then now that I know, I'm intrigued.
Sounds like a punk band.
Yes.
And no, but it's like this. So there's like this roster of like 30 musicians, I think. That's what I read. And then the performers who go on tour, it rotates.
Shifts.
Yeah. But they do... it's fusion jazz, but they incorporate funk. They're kind of like a really high-end jam band, I guess, because they get a lot of jam band fans that show up. And I guess
they say their fans go all the way from people who are wearing Slayer or Biggie Smalls T-shirts to Mahavishnu Return to Forever. I mean, it sounds about as eclectic as you can get.
Right, and they reference Weather Report too, which I've seen them a couple times. I saw them with Jaco Pastorius, before he died. So that's such an intriguing reference points there.
Right.
At the Kaufman, that should be there'll be 1,500 people there that are just loving this weird, eclectic instrumental music, which is kind of refreshing.
Anything else on your radar screen right now?
Let's see. That's about it. I'm really interested in what Billie Eilish does.
Yeah, you sound
Friday,
like you're intrigued by that. That'll be great to revisit in a couple
the
weeks.
reviews are pretty good, and I listened to a podcast about her. Just a really interesting life. Her parents are super bohemian and in theater, and her dad is now does a lot of production, behind the scenes production for her tour. But they have lived really modestly. They don't need to anymore, because she's going to make them a whole ton of money. But I'm just intrigued by her, because it's been a while since someone like this came along, especially someone so young who seems to have a really good grip on what she's doing and what she wants to do. So I haven't really looked beyond that. There's a ton of shows coming up, though.
Yeah.
It really gets busy later this month and then into July.
Sounds great. Always fun talking to you, Tim.
See you next time, Dan.
All right. Sounds good. And Billie Eilish and more next time around.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like the law offices of Kenneth McRae, developing a unique strategy for your family law case. Divorce can be civil law, not civil war.